my phone so I can see the live chat.
Mm-hmm.
I have my phone sitting next to me. Hello, people. Slightly slanted sleuth coming at you from. Oh, I gotta turn down my volume. I have my phone sitting next. There we go. And there's like a 7-second delay too, usually. But sorry, guys. Sorry it took so long. Had some technical difficulties. I'm a dinosaur when it comes to this stuff. So here we are. And Lee is joining me from the good old UK.
Hello. How's it going?
Oh, man. I'm going to need to get my...
I feel like I'm in the fourth dimension.
Damn it. I need my headphones. Is there anybody here watching?
I have absolutely no idea because I haven't loaded up the page yet. I'm just really slow today. It's just all this weird energy going around at the moment. I'm just feeling really.
Hello, Strawberry.
It's.
How are you? Okay, I wanted to start this off with something that this wonderful person named Strawberry. What is your real name? I think I asked you last night. I can't remember. It's called Origin of the Races. I don't know if anybody is familiar with this, but it kind of makes sense. It's something we can bounce off. I'm going to have to run and grab. I'm going to leave this up on the screen for a second, read it. I'm going to run and grab my
catch up on this, haven't I?
My microphone and my headphones. Sorry, guys.
Velvety black-skinned people to the lily white-skinned ones. Because I'm reading it, and the first thing I want to do is start reading it aloud because that's what I tend to do when I'm on my own. So.
I'm coming, guys. My bad.
That's right.
I live my life unprepared.
Oh, God, I know the feeling.
Okay. I'm still getting a leg. Why?
It might be me. I don't know.
Oh, no, I got it now. I got it now. Okay. Nope, I am.
It could be me because of my speakers. I mean, I shouldn't be too far away.
Oh, this sucks. Well, you know what? You can just talk when you want to, and I think I can. Icons come up on the screen.
I didn't catch that. Sorry.
I think I started the program wrong, but whatever. Regarding the various races of human beings, ranging from the velvety black-skinned people to lily white-skinned people, with hair coloring and consistencies ranging from coarse, thick, curly, and black to the finest light blonde shades straight hair, and all shades of variations in between. And it goes on, you know, the differentiations of all of our, you know, facial features and whatnot of all the races, and within the races, how they all differ. And if you believe that we're all the same, he'll sell you a floating island. It is the origin of each of these races where the dilemma and controversy actually exists. Some folks just don't care. Some folks assume that God merely made many races of people. Okay, during the early years when political correctness was first being orchestrated, 1950 to 70s, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. I haven't heard about this. I haven't heard this name in a while, UNESCO, which I was, you know, surprised I hadn't heard about it in a while, but I remember it. Made a series of official statements regarding the race controversy. In these statements, UNESCO put forth a goal of eliminating racism around the world and declaring race classification unfounded and damaging to society. In other words, the decree to politically correct at all costs originated from their organization known as UNESCO. Finally, the keeper of the Celtic secrets. Oh, here, I guess I got to finish that. And they so such as declared that scientific facts were to be kept hidden from the general public. Well, we know that even if it wasn't told us to us outright, we already know that. Finally, from the keeper of the Celtic secrets, knowledge about the origins of major races who call the earth home is being shared with others. You must keep an open mind, stay out of your cave now, and you won't be able to go. This was in 2001, so they're talking to us like we're children because, you know, back then our views were pretty narrow. Caucasoid was the first race, or the white races, descend from the Anunnaki of the planet Hibiru. Some say Nibiru, but it's Hibiru with an H, including the Elohim Godhead. And yes, the ancient original Israelites actually descend from the Elohim royal family. African or Negroid, the black races, descend from the evolved Homo sapiens and the hybrid created Adams. They are the Eves. The Asiatic and the Mongoloid, the so-called yellow-skinned people, descend from Nephilim, the ousted royal party from Hibiru. Notice I say Hibiru, not Nibiru. Hebrew is synonymous with Hebrew. Are you still with me here? Okay, yeah, duh. The Nephilim giants were the reigning godhead until the Elohim family ousted them, casting them to earth and taking over the planet Hibiru. And indigenous or native peoples of the land, the brown, sometimes referred to as red, or I'm sure it's the Native Americans, races descend from the evolved Homo sapiens and Anunnaki, some not authorized by the Elohim. But boys will be boys. And the Anunnaki hated manual labor, so these people were created and people were the atoms. The original evolved creatures of the earth, first known as Homo erectus, who evolved to Homo sapiens, i.e. Neanderthal. Eventually, this species became extinct due to the Ice Age floods, famines, disease, natural disasters, etc. And these are the people of black hair, large features, and type O Rh positive blood. The original created hybrid Adams, the father of all brown-skinned, red-skinned, indigenous, native people of the world, the Adams, were one half Anunnaki and one half Earth evolved people. Descendants of the Adams inhabited all continents and islands of the world. The hybrid Adams were of lighter skin tones than were the hybrids known as the woman, Eve. The Adams and the Eves originally all had Rh positive blood, connecting them directly to Earth. The original created Eve, the first hybrid woman, was the mother of all black-skinned peoples of Africa. The Eves, aka the woman, is made up of one half Adam's DNA, and one half Neanderthal, making her 1/4 Anunnaki, less black than the original Homo sapiens, but nevertheless black-skinned. Eve's bloodline was created to preserve the race of natural Earth evolved creatures who were becoming extinct. All black-skinned races from Africa are from the hybrid Eve. The Nephilim, a race that once lived and reigned politically on the planet Hibiru, but were eventually ousted and sent to Earth. They were the fallen giants in biblical accounts, as well as the St. John family journals. The Nephilim make up the Mongoloid and the Asiatic peoples of the world, and originally had type B blood, Rh negative, not of this earth. The word giant in the Bible comes from the word Nephal, from which we prefer Nephilim. This word Nephal means to fall, to fail, cast down, fall away, divide, overthrown, inferior, lost, fallen away. Now you can understand why the giants were thrown out. Similar to the Democrats, yeah, we're just going to throw his personal. The Elohim, royal godhead, their earthly direct descendants were the original 13 tribes of Israel, a white race that descends from El and his brother Enki bloodline. That's kind of funny. The bloodline of original tribes of Israelites made up the early modern people of Insular Celtic, Brythonic, which includes Irish, Manx, Scottish, Gaelic, and Goidelic, which include Britain, Cornish, and Welsh-speaking people. The term insular refers to the place of the origin of these languages. The British Isles is in contrast to the now extinct continental Celtic languages of mainland Europe, Anatolia. There is a theory that, okay, we don't need to know that. Recent continental Celtic languages are long extinct. The genetics of this group was originally the same as F below. What's F below? Oh. As both groups descend from the Anunnaki race, both E once represented the Godhead, the reigning family, royal family. The original blood type of these descendants was Rh negative, not of the earth. Science today has no explanation as to where the Rh negative blood factor originates. Well, it originates with the Elohim family Godhead. The royal Godhead were not permitted to marry and bear children to any other than their own blood type. This is also the reason that the Israelites were held for 40 years in the desert, giving them time to cleanse their bloodline by marrying only within their own race. I don't know about that one, but the entire white race of people are descendants of the Anunnaki. Some from the white race are descendants of the Elohim, which simply implies the royal family Godhead, who were and are in political power on Hibiru. However, some from the white race may not have a bloodline from the royal family of the Elohim, but are in fact descendants of Anunnaki citizens. Their blood types were originally the same as above, but due to the intermarrying with the Browns as well as other created races, both groups now have large amounts of Rh positive blood types. Rh positive is more dominant, that is Rh negative. An Rh negative mother may have 10 children from an Rh positive father, but may have only one Rh negative baby out of 10 or none. I wonder if Lincoln was maybe that's why he had such a problem procreating. I think a bunch of his kids died. And it wasn't that common back in the day. A bunch of people would have 10 kids and like 8 of them would die off. Hello, Carol. How are you? Tammy, how are you? I was reading. And I got Disintegral with me.
Hey.
I'm trying to get my headphones to work here still. I think it's because I got 2 programs going that do sound, so I gotta pick a program, I think.
All right.
All right. Let me get back to this here for a second. Where I gotta go.
Ooh.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, I can hear you. Yep. I'm not very good at radio stuff, let alone being on camera. Steve, are you there? Are you talking? Because I can't hear you.
How about now? How about now?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Sorry, guys.
There's a slight delay with the microphone thing.
Yeah, it's like a 10-minute delay. Okay, here we go. There is an out of Africa hypothesis that was first proposed based on genetic studies of a type of DNA analysis known as mitochondria. Yeah, we know this. Yes. And that this diversity has been accumulating for perhaps 100,000 to 200,000 years. This finding, however, analysis mitochondria DNA from a Neanderthal fossil found in Germany also suggests that the Neanderthals did not contribute DNA to modern Europeans. Huh. I think since this study, though, they had found that there is DNA, Neanderthal DNA in human species right now.
Right.
I'm going to see if I can turn this up and if there's a...
Apparently the Neanderthals were based primarily in Northern Europe. I was watching a documentary the other day. I tend to watch things.
Sorry, guys. I'm just bad. I'm so sick of saying sorry.
Don't apologize.
There we go.
I'm here to listen.
Yeah, I'm just hearing echo. Because I'm wacko.
So what you do is you
okay.
Mute the.
This is what I found. The gist of it is in summary, what the St. John Family Journals say regarding the various races is as follows: a brown or red race of black-haired, ruddy-skinned people who are half Anunnaki and half Homo sapien, a black race that is of one half Homo sapien and one half hybrid Adam, a white race of people who are the descendants of Anunnaki, and the Oriental race of people who are the descendants of the Nephilim. Genesis, and speaking of the serpent, Enki, the DNA scientist in the Garden of Eden, brother El said, that's Enlil, I believe, right? Said, I will put enmity between thee and the woman, between thy seed, Cain and their seed, blacks. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. That's weird. And the story goes, the serpent seduced the woman, Eve, and the serpent and the woman were punished for their role in sin. The son whom the woman gave birth to because of the sin, and his descendants was also to be punished. This was Cain. The descendants of the serpent, Enki, would bruise the heel of him who descended from Eve, the woman, black-skinned, and his son, Cain. And his descendants would bruise the head of the serpent's descendants. So what they're saying is Enki and Enlil are at odds with each other. We already knew this, and I believe that's what the whole Cain and Abel story is about. And that's I guessed that before reading this, and this just confirms it. The same verse from the journals. Enlil spoke to his brother Enki, the solver of secrets in the Garden of Eden, and said unto him, I will set deep hatred between you and the woman. I will also set deep hatred between you and your descendants. This is just what that said, I guess, in a layman's terms. For the seduction of women for punishment shall follow your descendants throughout all time. Your descendants and woman descendants will show deep hatred one for the other. Enki's descendants will bruise the head of the woman's descendants, and woman's descendants will bruise the head of Enki's descendants. Wow, that's kind of confusing.
Right.
But yeah,
okay. I'm trying to work.
Now I wish I could talk, because this is quite ridiculous here. When I'm hearing, I'm gonna try plugging it into my phone and see what it sounds like. But I think it's gonna be a super delay in there too.
Okay.
I think it's because I got both Google Hangouts. And
yeah, the best thing to do
is there anybody on the
is to mute
live stream
YouTube
here
and listen to the Google Hangouts.
How to do it so I can hear the sound in real time and not the sound after it's going through the stream? Anybody?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, see, I just heard what I just said. That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
Okay, so what's this one? The God Spirit. Do you have this Disintegral? Can you read that?
Right, if I put it down low, that might help with the bandwidth.
I'll try to figure out the sound.
My end anyway.
Can you read that?
Can I read? No, that might help with the bandwidth.
I'll try to figure out the sound. You got it. You got the thing I sent you. It's that link I sent you. Can you read
that? Okay. Hold on. Read.
I'll try to figure.
Right, there you go. Sorry, I accidentally set it to audio only. Now I've got the screen up. Can you say that again? What do I need to do? Sorry, I accidentally set it to audio only. Now I've got the screen up. Can you say that again? What do I need to do?
It's that link I sent you.
Right. Oh yeah. Just gotta find the damn thing. Oh yeah. All my windows everywhere. The unveiling newsletter #1. Identifying the true creator, or who is God.
All right. Or no, get into your Geometra or your Geometric.
Oh, the
or
Gematria.
Whatever. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you.
Sorry. Go ahead. Keep reading.
Yeah. Gematria. Oh yeah. Well, it's just I invited you to Discord, and obviously you had to set up your username and stuff, and I saw your numbers, so I just randomly had the impulse to just check it on Gematria, and came up with something quite interesting. So if you were to do I have a link here as well? Yeah, I do have the link. It's cool. Yeah, I was gonna would you mind if I post it in the chat room? Is that possible? Is that something I can do? I don't know. Oh, no, I can't. That's cool. Basically, it's if you were to go to
no, that's all good.
Gematrix.org. Oh, hang on. I could do a screen share, couldn't I? attempt one. Okay, no idea. I have no idea what I'm doing, so I can't. But if you follow that that link that I sent you, oh, hang on,
6779 is my number, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really understand. I have no idea what I'm doing. Works, but if you follow that link that I sent you,
yeah, I found it. I got it up here.
Yeah. It's really insane. I don't know how how they work the stuff out. Is it the sum total of the sentence? Is that what reaches 6779, or do you know what I mean? And then
this is pretty wild.
You've got all of these crazy sentences, and it's insane. And the thing is, you sent me that link, which was going on about God and stuff, and then this pops up after I put your numbers in. So I thought that was actually really fascinating and a bit fucking scary, to be honest. Oh God.
What I found the craziest. What are you going to watch later for, Tammy? Stay here. You'll like this. But so my number equates to, or my name. What is it? That I got to sign this number off of your.
Yeah, the Discord.
What you call it?
Yeah, when you sign up for Discord,
what is it, the freaking Discord site, right?
Yeah, you get like a.
That's the number they gave me.
Mm-hmm.
Is that 6779, right? Here, let's try something else. I'm going to enter.
Put your name in.
Do you have to have a number to enter into this?
No, I mean, it's usually like a phrase or something. But you can do it either with a number or a phrase, so that it will calculate it if it's a phrase. So, like, you can put your full name in and stuff and get some weird shit like that. I don't even know how it's generated. As like, what does this? Where does this stuff come from? Like, who's writing this? And why is it like decidedly synchronously relevant to what you're looking into at the moment?
Look at that. That's nuts. Jehovah. That is crazy. I am the man. Wow. They are not everyone. That's crazy. The youngest immortal and the smartest one. Oh, I like that one. Terrorist movements in the Middle East. I, great alien high priest, knowing me. Thou shalt not make lewd music.
The Gnostic
Big Liar, December 11, a dead. What?
You've got that there, the Gnostic demiurge, Yahweh.
My wingless butterfly. Aleister Crowley. Ooh, that's kind of interesting. Vatican destroyed in 1 hour. Wow. That's kind of wild. I wish I could hear you, Disintegral. I don't understand this, man.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on either. Microphone. Am I loud? Is it?
Okay.
Is it a thing on your side? Or?
I don't know how to do this. I'm gonna go here. So Tammy. Probably QAnon. I don't get into the QAnon stuff. Hello, Odie. I'm gonna go here and see if I can do something with this sound because this is freaking retarded.
Well, yeah,
I don't think I can though.
We can do this once you get the sound up.
I don't think so. I don't think so. No, there's nothing I can do here with this.
Right.
Whatever.
You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to. So. End the call and then basically
you know what? There's got to be a way. Got to be a way. Right here, default microphone. Oh, here we go.
Are we talking over each other or in between?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, and I can hear you real time now. Sweet.
Oh, fantastic. Excellent.
I figured it out.
Oh, thank God for that. Oh, man. So yeah, the synchronicities are pretty crazy, huh? And some of those sentences are pretty insane to look at as well. But I mean, they're just cropped up randomly.
Sweet. Much better.
Hello?
Yep, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Right. You just went a bit quiet then.
I just went quiet, is what you said?
Suspend your belief and go with the process.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, we're perfect. All right, guys. Sorry, folks.
Oh, man.
Oh, well, we're struggling. It'll work. Whatever.
It's fine. Oh, has this screen gone off? Oh, there you go. Can you hear me now? You've muted yourself, mate. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, your microphone is actually muted, apparently. Yeah. I can't hear you. Is it like Laurel and Hardy? It's like the interdimensional internet equivalent. You're muted, mate. Yeah, that button. Is it me that's muted? Oh. I don't see how.
How about now?
That's you. Yeah, I told you. Yeah.
What a freaking joke, dude.
Oh
my God.
Shall we blame it on the gremlins?
Anybody who has struggled through this and watched this.
It must be the cloud beings. Maybe they don't like you sharing their secrets.
You know, I'm hearing like 50 voices, so I got to turn on the freaking sound, man. But yeah, I don't know if you want to chime in. You just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Speak to me ESP or something.
Can you still hear me then?
I don't know how to do it. And
well, you're
freaking bad.
You just mute the.
I thought I had it, but I guess
you did. You had it. Tell him he had it, guys. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
This is like we're having a disembodied conversation.
It is, isn't it?
Oh, you can hear me now. Great. Wonderful.
Okay. So I look at what we just. Ra is a liar. What is this here? What number? What am I on here? Just most search words. Okay. Zeus did warn them. Oh, this is just most common search. So 1976. Don't underestimate that. So what you say is that number that I was given, 6779. You just enter that in, and whatever those words that come up on the left there, that's what's associated with that number and what comes up in the geometrics or whatever, right?
Yep. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, because it somehow it adds up to that or something like that. I mean, I don't know much about gematria, but
I found that pretty interesting. That was pretty cool.
It's quite random.
Okay, now we'll go to what else was I going to get into here? Okay, what we were talking about earlier today when I first emailed you about do we embody the dark by talking about the dark? Do we manifest what we don't want to happen by thinking it's going to happen?
Yes.
What do you think?
Absolutely. The more you focus on, see, people focus on the bad thing because it's the thing that's annoying them, but they're not focusing on what they would, to get rid of it, they would need to focus on the solution, as if they've already had it, type of thing. You know, it's something like that. You kind of, I don't know, it's, the whole thing is about getting people into a state of fear and anxiety so that then they are in a place where you can control them. But then also, if we do as beings have the power of manifestation, then, you know, we would end up creating our fears and anxieties, and then that becomes a self-perpetuating cycle. And then we would be basically dinner to you know, the parasitic entities that like to feed on our negative emotions, if you want to believe in that stuff.
Well, yeah, and you know, I went through a stint a while back that I thought we were feeding the archons, but I didn't know the exact definition of archons, because the archons can be in both, you know, archetypes can be of any form, shape, or, you know, light or dark. I've realized since, but I was in the mindset of, you know, if we're saying we're seeing stuff in the sky, are we manifesting it? You know, and are we perpetuating the evil by thinking the evil, or giving it power just by admitting it's there? You know,
Totally depends on whether you perceive it to be a good thing or a bad thing. But if you want to perceive it as a bad thing, then it will become a bad thing. I mean, simple as that.
Right. I would have to agree with that. That's my new. But last night you said something to me about fifth dimension. They're already here. This is Nibiru, and this is, you know. Why don't you explain where you're coming from with that?
Oh God. What the idea is that they, because they're in a higher dimension, because they are actually like energy beings. You know, they, in a sense, they've kind of ascended, or actually, at least in a kind of ability where they can actually be both material and energetic, I guess. So if that is the case, and they are of a high dimensional thing, then it would follow that they would be able to be anywhere at once anyway, because they're outside of time and space. So anyway, you're in the fifth dimension, you'll be able to see all permutations of any timeline, and you know, every possibility and potentiality that actually happens as a result of a choice, you know, within that universe. So it's yeah, I mean, to them, it's nothing because they're outside of that. They can choose to pop in at any point. And so, you know, they would always technically be here, you know, because they're of a higher dimension. So there we go. Omnipresent, there we go. That's the nature of a demigod, right? Or at least a god, even.
Right. Dude, check this out. I just entered on the geometric site, Lords of the Cycles, and it wasn't in there yet, and which was kind of odd. But it says first one is what, the prosperity. Wow, there's a lot of stuff that kind of correlates to what I believe they are. The destroyed Draco agenda. And they said they're said to thoughts talks about that in the Emerald Tablets, and it says 9/11 over again, all over again.
Gematria. Yeah.
Budgie the little helicopter. Call me, I'm broke, bro. Help me. That's kind of funny. Okay, but yeah, to get back to this morning, I woke up, people, and I just had this thought in my head that, something's going to come to me today. And all of a sudden, I got an email from Disintegral here about his availability for doing the show. And then I got an email from Strawberry about the, what was that the races, the 5 races. And I liked, hang on, I'm going to go to this. Right here. No. What was that other article? I think it's right here. Nope, right here. Nope. Okay, but anyway, it was I can't find the freaking email. I'm stuck on stupid here. Just stuck on stupid. Here it is.
Is that the Who is God?
Yeah, the creation one. Do you got that up there?
Yeah.
But that article right there was it was profound for me. And then I went on to read the Waterfall Dream one and all that. But my point is I had these synchronicities that just went boom, boom, boom. And I just went on this tirade and this long explanation to Disintegral. And then what happened with you when that geometric thing, I mean, it was just like everything lined up. And then Strawberry said the very same thing to me.
Right.
She said that, wow, you're tying everything together for me that I've been wondering about my whole life.
I mean, that's the thing as well. When you start getting a combination of synchronicities happening one after the other, they're kind of leading into each other. You start to realize, you're actually in alignment with your higher self and yourself, and definitely follow the clues that come. I mean, I know that from following your videos over the months. There are certain things that you've mentioned in your journey that have resonated with me, and I've noticed there's been parallels. So, and that's something I've noticed actually with quite a few people who are into the whole sky watching thing. And for some of us who have been doing it long enough and starting to notice and realize what's, the sky gives quite a lot away about the nature of our reality, and it's extremely confusing.
Dude, you're giving me goosebumps, man.
Right. I mean, when Dolores Cannon calls it the convoluted universe,
I love her.
She's not wrong. It's like, I mean, you look there and I'm kind of wondering, what am I seeing here? I'm seeing multiple things happening at the same time, overlapping each other, and like structures and buildings and giant serpents and stuff like that in the sky. And it's kind of like, wow, and every day now it seems to be getting clearer and clearer to me about what's there and what I can see. And it's you just have to follow the lines, follow the shadows and the light. You don't get perfect geometric shapes in the sky. Clouds just don't do that. That's just not what clouds do. So start using that simple logic to kind of work out, oh, that kind of looks weird. Why is there a triangle in the sky type of thing? It's quite simple, really.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like just the exact thing I'm talking about, the Orion thing. I mean, it's just a self-feeding loop too, if you really want to get down to the nitty-gritty. If we start seeing it and start admitting we're seeing it,
if you start focusing,
well,
this is the trap, you see, because everything is designed to be a distraction if you stay with it too long, and then before you know it, you become a bit obsessed or stuck on a particular concept. Like it could be flat Earth, it could be Nibiru, it could be 9/11, and if eventually that concept will consume you because you're so stuck on it. And the problem is when you're so focused on one thing, it limits the possibilities for anything else to come into it. So then you're actually creating a limited reality for yourself, and a limited understanding of what it is that is around you. So it's like the moment you kind of realize that, you can start to step aside a little bit and start observing things from a slightly detached perspective, and realize that that none of it, it's all just fucked up and none of it makes sense.
Ain't that the truth?
Right.
You know what? So what you just said right there, just it helps us all, because we want to be diverse. We want to have different ways of looking at it. We want to look at it from the back, from the sides, from every angle, up, down, all around, so we can get the whole map. Right? Is that that makes the most sense now from what I've actually, it fits right in with what I've been thinking. You know, I know I've been stuck on this Orion thing, but you know, it's just,
it's part of the puzzle, but it's
yeah,
not
it's
the
part of
only
it.
part.
Definitely part of it. But I mean,
And there's so much
your
more
way
there.
of looking at it is, you know, is
Keep it
a
open.
very wise way of looking at it when it comes to not getting stuck on something. And you know, that was where most of us Skywatchers have gone wrong, I think, is we're stuck on the same thing, and well, me anyway, I was in just a stagnant, filming the sky, looking for certain things, and you know, I do manifest. I do believe that I see UFOs a lot because I know they're going to be there. You know,
Well, they know
so
that you're watching, so
yeah, you were making a comment
they
earlier
know
with
before
somebody
you
else
do.
on Discord about, why don't you describe what you like, a day when you go out and you watch the sky? What do you see? You know, like yesterday, you were talking to that girl on there. I can't remember her name, but
Right. What you want me to say? What I tend to see on
yeah,
a day-to-day occurrence? God, it really does depend on the weather, because I've got lots of strange, crazy theories. To be quite honest, when you're observing it to the extent that we have, it's like you've got to keep an open mind about it. Otherwise, things, it will just continue not to make sense. And it's kind of slotting into place, but there's still a few aspects I'm not quite sure about. Like sometimes I look up and I see, like, it's almost like a mirror, and multiple mirrors, and it's like you're seeing the same object but at different angles, as if it's a kaleidoscope, and or it's like a room full of mirrors, and I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is that all about? What? And you kind of see like an object, for instance, any kind of object, and you see like the actual object if you look hard enough, and then you see a cloud which looks very much like that object just in front of it or below it, and then you see an even bigger version of it right behind it, and you're thinking, hang on a minute, it's repeating itself. There's a pattern. These things aren't necessarily real. They're somehow either generated, so that could be holographic technology, or it could be some kind of cloaking technology. We just don't know. But the thing is, we have to start thinking about things from a more open perspective. You know, if there was something like a secret program, a space program, or a technological advancement that we're not aware of, we have to consider that as a possibility, because they would be using that technology. So you know, but the thing is, I do think some of that might be in use, but I don't actually think it's in use for the reasons that we actually think they are. I think I'm starting to realize now that the paranoia, which, you know, is quite common in our community, tends to let us run away with ourselves, and we and that's when the obsession and the looping starts, and you get caught up in the same thing over and over again, and it does your head in. So the best thing to do is take a break from it. You know, it's in mind, it's not going anywhere, it's not going to change. It's about trying to explore things, and, you know, I also recommend creativity. Make videos, do art, make music, anything that is creative. I thoroughly recommend you try and develop some kind of creative outlet for your feelings, your emotions, your any creative impulse that you might have. There's anything like that you've got in your soul and your being, pursue it, because it really does help in terms of regulating yourself, your own emotions, but also developing a higher state of awareness of yourself and the environment around you. And I think it really helps to actually connect with the creative flow. And I guess if you believe in spirit, that's kind of what's happening. Your higher self, or God, or source, or whatever you want to call it. So that's how I tend to look at it. But I'm kind of digressing quite a lot now.
No, you're doing great, man. Because you know what, I was thinking the same exact, on the same lines as you, is the loop thing. But I can really tell everybody from personal experience that being a drummer, being able to bang on a drum, that helps me. Duct taping my kids, putting them in closets helps me.
Yes.
I'm kidding, of course. Don't take
No, drumming, that's another good one. That's a shamanic thing, isn't it?
But yeah, I like to play the drums and research. I'm a sponge for knowledge, whether so that helps too if you want to search the internet. But this morning, what does everybody think about the? What do you think about the black box thing and the text message that's going around the YouTube community and the internet, for that matter? How do you feel about that? Do you think that ties into our matrix at all, or haven't you given it any thought?
Quite honestly, even if it was a warning for us to evacuate Earth, like how the fuck's that going to happen?
Right.
So what good does it do us to dwell on it? It's a mystery. But whatever's going to happen, whatever happens.
Right.
There's nothing we can do about it. And that's what some of the things that people need to try and let go of, the things you cannot control, the things you can't do. You'll just drive yourself mad.
So essentially, the Nibiru thing is pretty much, it fits into that category, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when the cataclysm comes, I'm going out into the middle of the field, and I'm going to run around until I get smashed to bits by a meteorite. I want to go on the first fucking strike. I don't want to be around for the shitty aftermath. I want to be gone. It's like, why would I? You're right. So it's like if there is a cataclysm or anything bad, fuck it. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, a lot of people have that same. For me, at first, when I first thought this was, I thought it was a planet coming to kill me and killing us all, because I was following the mainstream people in the Nibiru community, and I thought in 2 months it was coming. That was in December of 15 is when I first started following this stuff, and I thought, I got to go get food, so I spent like $1,500 on food right away. I got so much water that I had nowhere to put it anymore. And now I'm eating the canned food because it's going bad. My water is actually disintegrating, or the containers that hold it are breaking because they've been moved around so much. But my point is I've come to a peaceful understanding that, if it comes, I'm going to smile as it hits me. And, I do have kids. I have young children that I love, and I don't want to see the fear in their face. But, I know that there's something grander for them. So that's all I can say. I'm gonna hate the moment when it happens, of course, because I want to survive. But I'm gonna greet it with a big freaking middle finger in the air, and if I got time, I'm gonna turn around, drop trowel, and moon it.
Do it.
But that's pretty much where you're coming from too. So
I think it's the best way to be with something that hasn't happened yet,
right,
may not happen. We have to try and keep some kind of grounding, and the basic thing is we don't know if that's going to happen.
Correct.
And there's no point in worrying about something you can't control. You just have to focus on yourself and improving yourself and making yourself a better person in the way that you want to be, the best version of yourself, whatever. So yeah, that's the way I try to look at it.
That's a very good way to look at it.
I think it takes actually more energy to be negative than it does to be positive. Because you actually have to make an active effort and a focus on something in order to really, to do it, and it drains you. And why are you feeling drained? It doesn't make sense. So, and that reason is because somebody's feeding off your fear, or was actually. I mean, I don't know. I think the current things, which there's a lot of weird energy going around at the moment. A lot of people who may identify as Mandela affected or spiritual or psychic or anything like that, in that kind of metaphysical community, are noticing it. And there is something going on. There's definitely strange energies going on. I've never, before a year ago, I never had. I was aware that something didn't feel right, but I spent most of my life trying to work out what that was. Then the Mandela effect comes along, and I'm like, okay, well, there's a label for it. Did try to avoid the trap of being obsessed with finding new examples of things that had changed, because that's another trap. And
you fell into that for a while?
No, I kept at a distance because I kind of lost interest quite quickly afterwards.
Yeah, so did I. As soon as I tried explaining it to one person,
it gets boring.
You gotta have people on the boat with you for it to go sailing, otherwise it don't feel right.
Yeah, so I it's like the way I saw the Mandela effect was, if there was going to be a wake up call, that was going to be your wake up call. I mean, it traveled across the world, multiple continents, across multiple cultures. So if you're paying attention, it's for you. It was an alarm call. And the alarm call was to wake up to yourself and wake up to who you are, and start improving yourself, because we manifest our reality, and what we put out, we get back. And if you're putting out a lot of negative shit, then you're going to get a whole lot back, and eventually, well, that's going to accumulate and create a reality, create a world of negativity if you're just focused on the negativity. So it's like, no matter how shitty it is, we have to try and somehow show gratitude, even if it's begrudgingly, for the shitty lessons that and the things that we get put through that test us and try us. And I don't know what it's for, but the main thing is that you wouldn't have the experience that you had throughout all of your life. You wouldn't be where you were if you didn't have those experiences, and all of those experiences mount up to create the person that you are right now. And if you look back at some of those experiences and the path that you're on, if you're looking for the truth and you have talents and skills, you'll find that there are different things throughout your life that have given you key insights and key abilities and skills that are actually aiding you in your journey. So I noticed that myself with the artwork and using Photoshop, and working in like a photograph development thing for a couple of years. And you suddenly realize that your life starts to take you into directions.
I would have to concur with that, and to add to that, it's kind of like, like when I was asking about the that text message thing, it does, when something goes viral, does it, and is that what when we ran into all these fads like the Macarena, that's the simplest version of what we're talking about here. I believe, how a fad takes on, how it catches on, how people dress the same and stuff like that. It's not just the need to want to follow, but I think it's the need to want to fit in, pretty much. But I mean, it's more than that, as in where the little things make up the big thing, and I don't know. It's kind of you get into this deep, dark, freaking rabbit hole that when you look around, you're like, wow, did I
As
cause
above,
this?
so below, as
Yep.
within, so without.
As
So,
above, so below, below, so above. The Keither and the Malkuth,
mm,
and that's a pretty profound thing. And when you really, really get into it, and I that's that's what the whole thing is I think we all need to just keep striving to pour the knowledge and drink of the cup of wisdom, no matter what that wisdom is. But you got to be able to discern what's bullshit and
mm,
what's real, and what's pertinent.
mm,
And that's why I put that video up today. I don't know if anybody's seen my video recently about, and I put it out there because people are passing that shit off as real, sky phenomena when it's something that is created via a lens on your glasses, you
mm.
know. And it was hard for me to do that because I'm a sky watcher. You know what I mean? So what do you think of that? Like what I did today? Did you see that video I put out?
I may have. I think I may have seen. I can't
It
remember
was the
which. I've seen a
I don't know
couple
what
of
it was
yours
called,
so
but
recent, so I get a bit mixed up with it. But yeah, I try. I kind of. It's a fine line, isn't it? Because you want to kind of you don't want disinfo and crap being out there, contaminating the data set, but at the same time you don't really want to get into conflict, and you kind
right,
of
right,
who has time for that? Like
right.
it's just too much shit.
That's
It's
why
not,
after I
it's
asked
totally
last night
unnecessary.
about taking that video down, the
So you
consensus
have to
was
be
when we were in our little group
pick and choose
talking
your battles.
was to take it
Yeah.
down. So I took it down because I agree, and I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to drag anybody through the mud, but putting up something that is a double image, it is,
Mhm.
is just appalling
Oh
because
yeah. I
people
mean,
are
if you know
deathly
for
afraid of what
sure.
they see on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you know for sure, and you're quite certain about it, and the guy is clearly being deceptive or whatever, then go ahead. But the thing is that everything we choose to do is going to have a consequence, an equal reaction. So, um, whatever happens, happens. We just have
Right.
to accept what happens because for a great part of that, we actually chose to be there. So.
Right. But my perspective too is when somebody puts out something like this, because it looks real, it looks like that this is staying still next to the sun, does it not?
Mm.
And then
It's not very clear either, though. That's the problem. I mean, when you're like,
because
when the camera's facing directly at the sun,
right.
I mean,
But you see that? I mean, it looks like it's an image that's actually there.
it's a known trick, is it?
I didn't know. I just took the glasses out there thinking they might help because the sun's so dang white, and all of a sudden I'm like, wow, that is a double image. So,
Mm.
but people will put this out there saying that it's real, and I know people have.
Well,
You
I,
know,
mean, I know that this is one of the things that in the Montana Skywatcher group, Jamie, who was in there, he was really, really tight on a lot of those photographs, and like 90% of them were just lens flares and
yeah.
chromatic
And
aberration.
my point is that they put that out there, and even if they're not doing it deliberately, it still ends up putting a stain of, and maybe that's what we need is people not to believe in it.
Mm.
That's the conundrum we are in, correct? I mean, it's like
Well,
go
well,
ahead.
there's also the fact that we have to exercise our own personal discernment. I mean, we can't. I mean, yeah. Are you going to be? What do you want to? How much of your life do you want to devote to doing that? I mean, it'd be cool if people would just take. If you notice something, you could flag it up and let people know, You know, I mean, that's the point of this, the comments, the discussion, isn't it? That you can actually say something to them and challenge them, you know, in a public forum of people who can see that. So, you know,
Right. But now we're dealing with web bots and you know, false pretenses
community
and
guidelines.
disinformation.
Yeah, that's all a bit weird. The YouTube CEO going on about Wikipedia, and
yeah, and right there, the CEO for YouTube is using
where's the
Wikipedia for
logic in that?
conspiracy videos.
Right? I mean, what is the logic in that? It's like,
it don't make sense to me.
Realize the people who are doing the research and the conspiracy theories are actually will know more than, you know, a lot of laymen. You know, it's unless if you're into this, then you do your research and you look at a lot of stuff. You know, you take in an awful lot of information. So it's like if there were people who actually knew how to research, it would be the conspiracy theorists. I might say they're conspiracy realists, to be quite honest. I
think that's what the whole fake news narrative has been, you know, because they know this. And they know
discrediting us because they knew that things were going to come out and more stuff's going to do. So people still don't realize that MK Ultra is now a proven fact. You know, it's like, you know, it's in the CIA papers. It's been released to the public. It's true. You know, there are so many people out there who just think it's like everything's just packaged up in the term conspiracy theory, and they don't even realize that actually a lot of it is true.
Most of it's true.
Yeah, it's not wishful thinking. It's the fact that we've been living in a reality where whoever's in control have been trying to keep us in a very specific way of thinking and living in a very controlled and limited manner. And when you consider the possibility that we could be infinite beings, that we ourselves are akin to God, then you realize that actually this is, you know, it is a fucking prison. You know, we just get we get weekends off, and you know, so if we're lucky enough, we even get paid. So it's right. You know, we're told we should be so grateful for having a job, for having something to do, having something that steals our time away from us and gives us fuck all back for it. Yeah, we should be so grateful for that. That kind of economic slavery is bullshit. We don't even need, you know, it's just odd. Anyway, so I'm just going into a major rant here because
it hasn't changed.
Yeah, and you know, ultimately, capitalism there's not much difference between capitalism and feudalism. You know, it's just that the difference is that you're exchanging bits of paper instead of goods. You know, and the land barons don't own all the land now, only some of it.
Yeah, there's a paradigm shift going on, that is for sure, recently. I mean, that's why the energies are just way off the charts both ways. I mean, like you said earlier, the energies affect you and they affect everybody differently, but people that are in tune got their finger on the pulse to the human aspect and are connected emotionally to what they believe and truth. I believe you can use your body as an attenuation, like a frequency, I don't know, like a biofrequency monitor.
Yes, it's called a voice box.
I get the goosebumps. No, wow. Did you just say the goosebumps?
I just said it's the voice box.
Oh, I thought
it's the human voice, our ability to speak, our vocal cords, the fact that we can generate tones and oscillate frequencies with our voice, with our mouth. That is one of them, one of the tools. You know, the first sound was Om, wasn't it? And that was what created the entire universe. So just by the first sound. So it's kind of, that was how that particular thing goes. But you know, there's lots of references that point out that the human voice is something extremely powerful, and something quite unique among a lot of species. I mean, you know, I think that we've developed this. We've got these vocal cords. We can communicate to each other a lot of different things, and I actually have noticed through the Discord community as well. Like we would spend a lot of time in voice chat, and we would just talk to each other. We would share our experiences. We would talk about the most craziest conspiracy theories if we wanted to. But we'd always try and kind of keep it in a positive kind of framework, you know. But I started to notice that actually the power of the voice really helped kind of create a sense of growth, like by listening to each other,
maybe,
right? By listening to each other and being more empathic, and you know, it was kind of like working on almost like intuitively training ourselves through the interaction. But for some reason, the voice really makes a difference. You can hypnotize people with the voice. You can do all kinds of things. Just like my brain
that's another aspect of this technology boom that's taking away another aspect of our human connection. That makes perfect sense, man.
Talking to each other, yeah. And it's through, and it is literally, see, because I do tarot, and one of the things that helps me when someone, you know, asks me to do the cards, so is like I'll ask them to speak to me for about 30 seconds or a minute or something, you know, just to actually hear the frequency of their voice, you know. And I sit, and then I close my eyes and I listen to it, and I listen to the voice, and through that voice, it's almost like you become attuned, or you attenuate to that frequency, and then before you know it, you just kind of start to get insight about that person coming to you. There's, yeah, I think that was actually one particular time I accidentally, I don't know how, accidentally remote viewed the person I was reading for, and she was all the way over in Florida. So, you know, it was a really crazy experience, you know.
How long have you been tarot reading?
Since about 2013.
And where does where does that originate?
What, the
tarot?
By the tarot itself?
Yeah.
You know what? I've got to do a bit more more research into that. I've been more focused on understanding the archetypes, but I believe it's. I think it's something to do with magic. If I'm right, but
isn't it connected something to? Isn't it to the Kabbalah too? I think it is, isn't it?
There is a lot of esoteric occult connections, and it's all
the tree of life and everything is connected to it too, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, the thing about the tarot is it has like a set of archetypes, and
yeah, the 21 mains or whatever they're called,
right? But people make their own tarot cards with their own themes, and what's even more interesting is how they take the initial structure of the tarot and then they add their own flavor to it, and they create their own kind of mythos and mythology, which somehow still manages to work within the frame, within the archetypal structure, and it's really cool. And then you get tarot decks which are based on you know, the classic
Do you have your deck of tarot in front of you right now?
I've got an oracle deck in front of me. As I was doing a reading with a friend earlier, but yeah.
what do you need to know, or what's the typical session, or like if I wanted you to plop a few cards down, what would the whole I don't know, setup be? What would you need? And you know what I mean? I'm not talking as far as money or nothing. I'm talking about is to get a clear reading.
To get clear reading, God, for me, I think everyone's different, but for me, I think it's about the voice. I think vibration, rhythm, frequency, tone, that really does make a difference. I think that's how we tune into each other. That's why we can still be talking here now, and people will be over there in the YouTube chat room, and some of them will be feeling the same energy that you and I are feeling.
Mm-hmm.
because they're sharing the vibrations between us, you know, for our ears. So it's kind of it's so simple, but actually, I think it's the simplicity that tends to this simplicity.
All right, I got one for you. Pull out your cards.
It tends to throw us, doesn't it? Because we expect things to be complicated,
right?
And then we go way past. You know, we end up missing the boat by miles, and then we find ourselves lost in some overly complex nightmare several miles down the road. So you know.
So you would be in agreement with me then that particle physics is a bunch of nonsense, and they overthink, and they're going totally in the wrong direction as far as our connection to nature, pretty much, and they're never going to find God or the Godhead or Creator or anything through a particle. Do you believe that? Do you agree with that?
Well, yeah. I mean, you could argue, quite frankly. I mean, I don't know how they've even managed to get this far with the science, because, you know, from what I've heard, there's something quite wrong with some of the maths. So, you know, I don't even know how they managed to get as far as they have done with hadron colliders and stuff. When
ain't that the truth? And how can they go infinitely small but not even think about the infinitely large? You know, I don't get that.
It was, you know, so basically we've kind of been, science has basically been stagnating for the past however many years, or 100 years or so.
Do you think that all started when Einstein came out with the relativity?
Well, the thing is, I was watching this thing the other day. It was saying how even Einstein himself wasn't 100% sure that his equation was correct, that it still needed work. So it's like there was obviously an agenda or some kind of reason behind why it was pushed so much.
And if there was
it's the same thing with Newton as well.
What does that tell you? That means that there was some higher being or somebody with the knowledge that knew that was enough to keep people off track and keep them dumbed. You know, think about that.
Sends the human race into off the track. And I mean, if our goal was to be on the fast track to ascension and I don't know,
correct,
transcendent evolution, then you know, what's the best way to sabotage that? Well, you just send them in the opposite direction. You know, so obviously, I mean, we don't know what's going on, quite frankly. You know, all these, there's just so much out there. You know, so many contradicting things. You know, and then trying to work out, you know, the parallels between different religions and beliefs, and realizing that you know, it's the same person but with a different name, and a shitload of different names. So, you know.
Well, the biggest one for me is the whole gods thing. You know, they screwed up when they put the word gods in the Bible, and then they want us to be a monotheist, you know, a one God religion. But they got gods in the Bible. You know,
the best way to keep a monotheistic religion is to not mention the other religion. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can see the screen right here, but look at Steve the Aurora makes its debut in Mueve.
Is that another gematria?
Huh?
Is that more gematria? Or?
No, it's a science article, and they named Aura.
Oh, Steve.
Yeah.
Oh, good old Steve. Yeah, I remember that. That was one. I mean, that was the only other one that we almost got was naming a Boaty McBoatface.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
They subsequently decided that they would go against the public's wishes.
Or what about the planet they named Makemake or whatever, or the whatever they called it, a dwarf planet, like Makemake or Sirius or Iris, you know, Sirius or what's the other one? Iris or Eris?
Ares, is it Eris? Something like that. Eris, the goddess of discord.
That's what that Ares is the goddess of discourse.
Eris,
yeah. And then they go and name the comet Enki. You know.
Do they?
Yeah, there's a comet Enki, and it's actually in 2028. It's going to come really close to us.
If that's not another clue, I don't know what is really.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's obviously something fishy going on.
What are your thoughts on the predictive programming part of our matrix?
Oh yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, that's definitely true.
Do you think that's their
Definitely.
way of trying to avert the karmic acts, or
Well,
because of
predictive
the free will
programming,
aspect
it's
of
the same.
the
It's the
galactic
same
law?
principle. I mean, it's the same principle with the whole. You basically uh, influence people's feelings and emotions and people's lives, and you feed them ideas and concepts, and if you were bombarding them enough, you will eventually you know get the result of that.
Oh, I just had an epiphany right here when you were saying that. So you think by creating a conspiracy and then trying to debunk that conspiracy and get enough people infighting about that conspiracy, it then
Oh yeah,
in
that
turn,
creates it's like double speak, isn't it?
yeah,
It's like you send them in one direction, then another direction, and then before they know it, they're confused, and that
and
they're constant.
they're fighting over the flat Earth or a pickle jar.
Well, it's called polarization. It's being polarized,
Yeah,
and
that makes complete
yeah,
sense
the
too.
flat Earth pickle jar. You know what? The thing about flat Earth is there are some really interesting. I mean, the mysticism and some of the
No, I
mythology
totally agree
and
with you.
all of
And
the
I'm not saying anybody
esoteric
that believes that
aspects.
is off their charts either. I'm just saying, it's
Because there's gems. There's gems in everywhere.
right.
Every conspiracy theory has a piece of the puzzle, and I personally believe that a lot of them, if not all of them, are connected in one way or another. There's got to be. There's definitely more than 6 degrees, less than 6 degrees of separation.
Hey, I agree with you
Somewhere.
totally. And everything that we think is myth is based. We found that out even before the conspiracy started. I remember 10 years ago thinking to myself, these people are off their rockers, thinking, what was the biggest one 10 years ago? It was, I don't even know, because 10 years ago I was just stuck in the cars, stars, and bars, and I just wanted to go to work and hate my life and come home and do it all over the next day, and then wait for the weekend, go out and get drunk or whatever I was doing. And it's 3 years now I've been on this awaken trail, and I've come
Mm.
across people like you and Strawberry, Milky Way, Shane, Tammy, people that are of like mind, like myself, and it's refreshing. In the same breath, it's confusing, but I'm glad there's people on the path I'm on, and I appreciate every one of you
Mm-hmm.
that are out there listening to this and appreciate me, because I appreciate you even more. And yesterday when you said that fifth dimensional thing to me, they're here, and I was like, I was gonna come back at you right away with what do you mean they're here? And Nibiru's fake? You think Nibiru's fake? And then I thought to myself, wait a minute, I'm gonna hear what he's got to say. And as soon as you said it, man, it was like, wow, there it is, because
Mm.
it just tied right in with everything. I mean, the dimensional thing is, there are worlds within worlds that we can't see. That, and Wayne Steiger's been talking a lot about that lately too.
Mm.
There's an environment right in front of us, and my
Oh God,
sky's
yeah.
5D has talked about it,
It's
about cliffs
overlapped.
and stuff like that in
It's
the sky.
happening right where we are right now. There are things going on right where we are, right where you're sitting. Yeah, it's kind of weird to think about, but
Right.
yeah, I definitely believe that's possible. I've seen things which would suggest that there is an overlapping layer there. So we might be in some kind of holodeck, and I mean a really big fucking holodeck, and
We're in
and
a black hole, in my opinion.
yeah. So I mean, it depends. I don't have a specific solid uh, consideration of what's really going on. All I have is little pieces that I'm examining, and eventually it starts to make sense once certain other things slot into place. It's like you have to wait for other bits of information to come in,
Correct.
and but it all happens synchronously, and I totally keep on the synchronous path, really. Follow your heart and follow your own path, and um, stay true to yourself. That's what I
I
try
think the
to do
biggest thing
anyway.
for all of us to keep in mind is that I think we have to realize that there is much more than just our mainframe box that we're supposed to be staying in because of the fear of being criticized and ridiculed. And if you believe that there's more than what they tell us, whoever they is, and I hate saying they, because it's us, because I believe that, maybe this is all by design. What do you think about that? Do you think maybe the whole paradigm of all of this is supposed to be like this? Well, obviously it is, but I mean, you get into that whole double-ended sword thing,
Well, yeah, I mean, there's
chicken and the egg and all that.
well, it's like basically a matrix within a universe within a cosmic egg type of scenario. It's like an Etruscan doll, it's just layers and layers of reality. It's like Inception, interdimensional Inception.
Thing that you just said, man. I've heard that analogy so many times, and it comes from the Zohar. It comes from the Kabbalah even mentions it. I mean, there's just so many different esoteric teachings. The Hermeticism mentions it. I mean, aspects of it or versions of it, or concepts of it. And wow, yeah. I mean, that's the world within worlds. The ascension process. The Hopi Indians, what do you think of the Hopi prophecy and all that? Do you think?
Oh my God, yeah. When I first was on the Mandela Effect, and I was looking into the Hopi prophecy, there were a couple of lines in it which just made me, I just turned white and just had like a cold feeling just pass over me, like, oh my God, this really is happening. This has been written about, well, not even written about, it was it was the oral tradition, wasn't it? And so, I mean, whatever's written is just an interpretation of somebody's oral.
Oh, you know what, dude? That's what, oh my
the
God.
Oral tradition,
you know what? That's why they said to not have things written down, probably.
Because
and that's why everything was oral tradition, like Plotinus, Plato. Plato was in a long line of them. What were they called? The philosophers. But I mean, the stories they had were all told, and they had to go and remember them for like years, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's how things apparently have been. But I mean, this is the thing. It's like broken telephone.
It comes down to like that allegory of the cave when the shadows are on the walls, and
oh God, yeah. That's basically the sky. You're literally seeing reflections and shadows of things that may or may not exist. And what do you do with that?
Right.
You can't do anything with it. You just have to keep looking and looking and looking, and eventually, I mean, that's what it's taken. I only started about a year ago.
Oh, you've only been on this train for a year, huh?
Well, only the sky watching thing. The whole conspiracy stuff I've been into since 2008, and
wow, your brain must be scrambled.
Well, I've done a lot of healing so recently, and also you kind of sometimes you just have to see before the spiritual stuff started coming into it. Realizing the necessity of trying to care for that aspect of my life. Before that, you don't. You just take a break from it. You think, well, I know now. I'm awake now, so I can. I don't have to be looking at this all the time. I could just get back into watching my favorite show, and then before you know, you could probably just fall into.
What do you say about the frustration of trying to wake others up around you? What do you say to that?
I think people try risk alienating people by trying too hard because I know it's like you feel desperate. You want people to wake up, but there's a chance that they might not. Maybe they weren't meant to. Maybe reality isn't what we think it is. So there's a certain amount of detachment I think that is needed. At least to save one's own pain and upset.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. And the frustration just hampers our growth, and it's Because
You have
a lot of
you have
people
to
that
look after
I
yourself,
interact
otherwise,
with online, they get to the point to where I'm sick of trying to wake people up. Well, if you're sick of trying to wake people up, you're not going
don't
to grow
wake people up.
yourself, I believe.
Don't try.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
the thing is, it's like you've got to look after yourself because no one else is going to. And you know, if you're not doing well, if you're ill, how are you going to help other people? So it's there. We have responsibility to ourselves first of all to look after our health, our mental health, and our physical health. You know, so that we're not actually imposing shit on other people and then getting angry and shitty about it because they're not listening. You know, what do you expect? You know, that's the other thing. It's all about free will and respecting the free will of others. So that means not exposing people to things they might actually find earth-shattering. You know, and the thing is, like, if you've been at this for a while, you know, you're kind of hardened to it. You know, it doesn't shock you anymore. In fact, to be quite honest, I don't think there's anything now. I mean, I don't know. That could be the worst understatement. You know, I don't think I don't know. I'm not surprised by anything. Put it that way. No, you know, and when the truth of our reality is finally revealed, you know, we've got to expect that it's going to be like an acid trip, totally incomprehensible, and it's not going to stop, or at least it feels like it's not going to stop, at least for 8 hours. So,
That's funny.
right. So, yeah, I just kind of, that's my take on it anyway. I don't know. I guess I've learned to try to let go of a lot of stuff over the past year. It's been an intense year of self-examination and healing and trying to fix myself and find more stability and balance in my life. And
so why did you originally start looking at the sky? Was it because you were looking for a Nibiru or a planet, or what was it?
yeah, actually, because of it, around the same time that I started getting into the Mandela effect, so that would have been like around like mid 2016.
Yeah, a year and a
I
half ago or so.
was
Yep.
also, you know, looking for the next, you know, the Nibiru things kind of cropped up occasionally, but it's one of those conspiracy theories that I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to get into or touch because, you know, it's like once you see it, you can't unsee it. And the last thing you really want to do is start panicking yourself about a planet you can't stop from coming in and crashing into your own planet. So, yeah,
Yeah, I
I
don't know
don't
what the
think it's going to
dichotomy
be
is
that way
there, and why
personally.
the is it human nature? You think that because I
Addicted to
really was
fear
sold
porn.
on the fact that there was a planet in our skies all the time, and
Mm.
I'm kind of sold that something's out there coming our way, but you
No, but the
know,
thing is, we don't know we don't. I mean, none of us have been into space, have we? I mean, there's
no,
only a very select few
yeah, but
people.
I'm not
If
there
it's
yet
even
to call it a
happened,
space.
I mean,
I'm
if
not.
we've even managed to get there, only a very select few people have actually got there. So how the fuck do we know what is really out there? I mean, that's the thing. Is that we can't. So it's I don't know.
That's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't type thing. And it's
Yeah.
hey, Captain Ron, I had to take your video down, man. It was consensus that I've done enough damage to his. Hopefully it helped you, buddy. And I am the one that I want to find truth, and I want truth to be known. But I hope I helped. But anyway, I just seen on the chat that Captain Ron, the guy that with that video I was talking about yesterday about WSO, I had that video out about him.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, and we're talking about the esoteric side of our existence, and our existence is unknown.
Mm.
Our reality is ever changing to the point to where we have to get connected with one another on a spiritual level as well
Mm-hmm.
as on a human level. We need to
Well,
stop texting and typing and talking with our voices. Is what you agree with that? That's what you've been saying.
well, yeah. I mean, at the very least, I mean, if not in person, then over voice. I mean, that's the beauty of apps like Discord. I mean, it's probably run by the CIA, but I mean, like with Google around now controlling everything, I mean, we can now safely assume that they have access to everything we've ever made anyway. So what's the fucking point in hiding? I mean,
Right.
if they were going to arrest you for buying weed a few months ago, they would have done it by now. So, I
Right.
mean, you know, I don't think there's only certain things that there's very specific things that they're looking out for, and I don't think that that's one of them. Quite honestly,
Well, I think Google is ran by some deep state CIA office that,
well, that's
that's
what.
why Google is in charge. That's
Well,
why
I mean,
Google.
Google's. I mean, they, uh, they practically run the world. So
They do, man.
that's
You,
what that's a corporatocracy for you. I mean, it's corporations, private companies that are in control of
their biggest fear is the solar
countries.
flare because it would
So,
take their whole thing out.
mm,
You know?
well, you know, I mean, that's my biggest fear, to be quite honest, because I don't think I'd cope very well if we went back to the Stone Age, quite frankly. But I mean, saying that, that reminds me though, you were saying, asked me like, why did I get into it? I was looking into Nibiru and I came across the work of Sam Hoffman,
Yep, me too.
and you know what? I think he's been given quite a bad rap by a lot of other Nibiru channels, and I don't think he, you know, I don't know the ins and outs of any interpersonal disputes there, but I actually do think Sam is a genuine person, and
So do I. I believe he is,
I
and I
think
think he's seen
he
something or
seriously
talked to
believes that.
fifth dimensional beings or something. Is that what you're thinking
Sorry,
too?
sorry, say that again.
Do you think he talked to some fifth dimensional beings, or is that? Do you think his backstory? Because I mean,
He's a contactee,
yeah,
and the information that he knows comes from that experience. So, I mean, there is you know, it depends really what you believe in and stuff. But I quite, you know, listening to his story and stuff, he's convincing. And you know what? A lot of the time, I don't see why people would have reason to lie. Quite honestly, I'm quite gullible sometimes, so I tend to uh, you know, be quite willing to give people the benefit of the doubt and actually believe them. You know, taking, you know, first thing is to believe that the person that you're going to speak to is actually going to tell you the truth.
right.
Uh, I like to think that there's some kind of humanity in the world where we can actually be honest with each other. And you know, when people were sharing a story of that magnitude, of that, you know, of that meaningfulness, uh, you know, it just came, you know, it just got the
Well,
impression
I
it
see
was a
Sam
genuine.
as
And he,
upfront, as a honest person because he gave me his phone number. I got his phone number on my phone, and
mm,
he answers the phone when I call him. You know,
yes,
and that's the true testament of, are you going to hide out? Are you going to answer comments? Are you going to, are you going to interact with people?
hmm and
You
he
know,
does. I mean, I've had a couple of video webcam conferences with him on Skype. You know, way back like last year, and yeah, we've kept in touch and we still talk to each other and message. I mean, the funniest thing was the fact that I found out we both had the same birthday, so uh, that was kind of interesting.
yeah,
And
same birthday.
yeah, but the thing is, it's weird because when we actually got chatting, it was like I'd met him before. You know, I'd never met him before, but when I met him, it was like I knew him, like we were related or something. You know,
Oh,
so
okay.
it was kind of that kind of thing, and I think it's something that I mean, he identifies as a indigo, and I think there's a possibility I'm probably an indigo as well, and yeah, I think there's something innate, inbuilt, where they recognize each other. So yeah.
Are you do you look at a lot of symbolism, and I mean, do you look at glyphs and stuff like that?
In respect of
Just any symbolism, symbolism of the world, of anything. You know.
sigils, logos, things like that.
Yep, logos, yep, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an artist, so that kind of symbology, images, signs, things like that. That's all part of part of the package, really. You know,
Okay, I got one more question for you, and then we'll probably cut this. But
sure.
the fear factory that we reside in, why do you think everybody is so addicted to being afraid?
God, that's a tough one. Conditioning. Because when we're afraid and we are offered a solution and it gives us a sense of security. So maybe that security is something we're constantly seeking, you know. So then we have things like governments because we want to entrust representatives who are meant to represent us to do the things that we want them to do, you know, to help run the country, or the world or whatever. But you know, but I think it's all about security and control, and I think there's something to do with it, and maybe a bit of a thrill. I think human beings are a little bit sadomasochistic, if I'm honest. We do like to scare the shit out of ourselves, and I've actually taken to avoiding horror films, anything with gore or over, you know, excessive violence. And you know what? There's so much violence and stuff on TV. So now, I mean, everything's got violence in it. So, you know, it's just, yeah, it's all about.
I was just making a comment and observation to my kids the other day because recently, you know, I'm a SpongeBob SquarePants fan. I have been for ever since my oldest has been, you know, knee high, and they recently have a new. I think it's some computer software that does the computer animation, but you could tell where it switched. And recently, they hit each other all the time now, and there's violence in it now where there wasn't before. There was just goofy, you know, that once in a while you'd see them fall and get hurt, but it's even down to that level where the kids, they're like, it's violence is justified or glorified even on SpongeBob these days.
Do you ever get the feeling that we've somehow transferred into a version of Earth where like 90% of people are just plain assholes? And
Yes,
you know, from a
I
world
would
where
agree.
actually
And I think it
people
has a
were a
lot to
lot
do with the
nicer when I was a
technology.
kid, right? I just kind of think to myself, hang on a minute, has somebody turned the evil up to maximum or something? You know, like it's like turned up to 11, and you're like thinking, my goodness, like when did our planet and when did our existence turn into such a hateful, nasty piece of work? You know, it doesn't make any sense to me that things have become so much more. Well, yeah, we're given the sense that things have become more harsh and nasty. You know, we've got corrupt people in power, and that they're just greedy motherfuckers. And I
You know,
mean,
they
yes,
say by 2027 we'll be fully in the age of Aquarius, you know, when the zodiacal house is switched.
I'll
And
bring it
right
on.
now we are in the time of chaos where the zodiac house is switching. So, and we're coming from a negative energy, which is the Pisces, and isn't that odd that it's, you know, the fish, and now we're going into the Aquarius, you know, which is the age of enlightenment. And so I believe that has a lot to do with it, because if you adhere to the Hermetic principle of as above, so below as above, the energies that are happening in our cosmos are transferred to us, and you know, into our existence. So I think that has a lot to do with the whole negative aspect. But for some reason, the technology thing is separating us, and we're under the illusion that it's connecting us. So.
Right. It's a double-edged sword, in my opinion. I think technology is good for things, but it's about it's about us becoming more balanced in ourselves. Technology isn't the problem; we're the problem.
Yes, very good. Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah.
That's the human aspect has to remain involved, and but here in the Emerald tablets, and it was the thing that I got out of this tablet, which was tablet 3, is we and the Lords of the Menti, there's 7 of them. You know, there's the 7 Lords of the Cycles, and it's kind of funny that there's 7, you know, keys in the solfeggio music scale. There's 7 colors in our light spectrum that we see. There's 7 chakras, you know, and there's 7 planets besides the sun and the moon.
Yeah.
And 3 holds the key of all hidden magic, creator he of the halls of the dead, sending forth power, shrouding with darkness, binding the souls and the children of men. Sending the darkness, binding the soul force. And here's the biggest part of it, director of negative to the children of men. And it goes on to say, 4 is the one who looses the power, and he is the light, is his body, flame is his countenance, and he's the freer of the souls to the children of men.
Right.
You know, so, and like you were saying, 5 is the word that resounds among men. You know, the logos, the vibrational, and for some reason, something tells me that we go from the 3rd to the 5th, and I don't understand that the whole part of it, but I think that's what we're on the cusp of.
Yeah, it's because of the perception that the 4th dimension is something separate, but actually, the 4th and the 3rd dimension are actually the same thing. It's just that they can be. It's the duality principle. They could be separated, or they can be put together.
Or transfer, right? It's so the bus station. All right. Hey, Disintegral, this has been wonderful, man. I appreciate you joining me, and sorry for the technical issues we had at the beginning. And we got to do this again, man. It was pretty good.
Totally, man. That'd be great. Thank you. It's been nice chatting and connecting properly. Good to have you around.
Yeah, you too, brother. And I'll definitely, everybody's got to go to, what is that, Discord. Download the app Discord and get involved with that, because, you know, it'll be a backup in case, you know, we get separated on the tube. And it's a pretty sweet. I tested it today. I went on it after he sent me the link, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a very stable platform. They seem to be working out the bugs and stuff. I mean,
how long has it been around?
A good couple of years, I think. I've been using it for about a year now, so it's definitely improved. They've even got video capabilities on it now. So yeah, I definitely recommend it.
Can you stream through this, or no?
Well, I mean, basically that's my particular server. But when you when you set one up and stuff, when you actually set your own account up, you can actually make your own server too. So I was gonna suggest like maybe making it like a Skywatcher server.
Oh, and you can post pictures on here and everything, huh?
Oh yeah, totally. We share all kinds of links. We're always talking, chatting to each other. I'm usually quite chatty on there, and yeah, I've basically been building up like my own little repository of information and stuff, you know, and you know, we've had quite an active community there. So people have been posting a lot of links, a lot of information, and it's been building up over the last few months. Yeah, cool. I definitely recommend you you have a good old chat with my Skies 5. I can't even say it now. My Skies.
Yeah, I was gonna ask him if he wanted to come on, and we'll do a podcast together. Maybe us 3 could get on and do it together.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Cool. I definitely recommend it. He's got some really good vibes. So
definitely. All right, man. Thank you very much, sir. And I appreciate your time. And you take it easy.
Thank you very much, Steve. Take care, mate.
Bye-bye. Yep, bye-bye. Take it easy, guys. Thank you for joining me.